All right, folks, we got ourselves our Monday morning email from the one and only Keith Fitzgerald. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's go ahead and jump right in to the wonderful world of Keith Fitzgerald. Gonna go through the email and we're going to offer some commentary. Once again, this guy is super smart, so let's dive right in and see where this wonderful email takes us. All right, so, good morning. The S&P 500 tapped yet another record intraday high as I came off camera earlier this morning ahead of the opening bell, and it's still green as I type. Can it last? Definitely. But, and to a point I made in last night's Sunday Thoughts from the Garden, I will be very surprised if the big money doesn't come storming out of the gate to the downside at least once this week. Here's why. Number one, that's how big traders play the game and how they separate the weak hands. Read emotional, uncertain retail investors here from their money. And number two, many of them are still offsides, meaning they fell for the doom, gloom, and boom narrative we've gone to great lengths to avoid, so they've got to play catch up. Keep your wits about you. Remember, being in to win is how you win. And yes, buying stocks that beat the market is how you basically beat the markets. This isn't rocket science. Here's my playbook. Number one, why I don't worry about market narrowness. There's a line of thinking making the rounds that market narrowness is a bad thing. Not true. In fact, I'd be very worried if the markets weren't narrowing up. History shows very clearly that what they do every time there's a major transitional wave in human history. We stand on the cusp of the sixth wave. Long waves of innovation. Yes, here we go. So there was the first wave, which was water power, textiles, and iron, starting back in the 1800s. The second wave was steam power, rail, and steel, also the 1800s. Third wave was electricity, chemicals, internal combustion engine in the 1900s. Fourth wave is petrochemicals, electronics, and aviation. And then most recently we have the fifth wave, which was software, digital networking, and new media. Now the sixth wave is AI and IoT, clean tech, robots, and drones. So he says, I believe there will be more profits created in the next 10 years than the last 50 years combined. That's how innovation works. Keith's investing tip. You can fight this all you want, or listen to the yeah but crowd if you prefer. A lot of people do. Either way, innovation will continue and, you guessed it, profits will follow. Getting your money there first can make all the difference, especially if you're using the right tactics to control risk every step of the way. By the way, and while we're at it, if you have no idea what to do next or what to buy, I'd like to toss my hat into the ring. You may find one bar head helpful. I've got this covered. If you've got this covered and you're achieving the results you want, excellent. Palantir eyeballing $30. Investors are figuring out at 26 what we knew at $6, $7, but that's okay. Better late than never, as the old saying goes. The company generated more profit in Q1 than it used to in a year a decade ago. I can't wait to see Q2 results when the company reports in early August. My take with the fabulous David Asman, along with Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, and other stocks in the news this morning ahead of the opening bell. Fox Business. Okay. Number three, gaining scale equals the real reason for merger mania. Chances are you're hearing a lot about various mergers and acquisitions lately. Examples from today's headlines include Carlsberg buying Britvic, Paramount merging with Skydance, Lilly buying Morphic, and Devon Energy buying NCAP-owned Grayson Mill Energy's Williston Basin business. This isn't about creating stronger companies like M&A used to be. They are all companies merging or joining up to achieve scale because it's the only way they'll survive. Buy the best, ignore the rest. And do not fall for the clickbait crowd who tell you all sorts of things about buyout premiums and the like. Much of it used to be true, but very little of it is today. Boeing pleads guilty. Now the work begins. Boeing has pled guilty to criminal charges for its role in deadly 737 MAX crashes. The stock is up 3.17% to $191.51. Should you buy it? I'm not. The plea eliminates court discovery, so the investigation that's underway will never see the light of day, and the investigating public will never see the proverbial half of it. What's more, who, how, and when they are going to inspect all the aircraft that are at issue. Part of the whistleblower disclosures include concerns related to bolts holding the fuselages together. No, thank you. Not an investor, and sure as heck not as a passenger, if I can avoid it. If anything, I'm tempted to buy some at the moment, put skis, and place a quick bet to the downside head of the next headline. And, just there's going to be one. Okay, finally, number 5. Do this if you're scared of a sell-off. People ask me frequently what they can do if they fear a sell-off. My answer usually surprises them. Buy great companies. Here's the deal. Today's markets are so interlinked and so computerized that there isn't any way to avoid one. The real question, the one you want to ask yourself, is what you're going to do about it ahead of time. Start with owning great companies in the first place, preferably those that pay rock-solid, super steady dividends. My research and that of people a lot smarter than I shows very clearly that dividend-paying stocks tend to fall less, stabilize faster, and recover more quickly. See my point? Speaking of which, one bar aheaders, keep an eye out on your email. Think of one of our most consistent dividend monsters is ready for another big move higher. It returned 53.4% over the past 3 years versus the SPY, which returned 33.51% over the same time. Okay, bottom line, investing and trading are not for you if you're a perfectionist, just saying. End of the email. And we have nothing more to add. For part 1, it says long ways of innovation. So many emails, and what he frequently talks about is the 6th wave. So AI, IoT, clean tech, robots, and drones. So I'm sure that's more and more of his research. Palantir, of course, for those who own it, are happy because it got beat up for several years in a row up until basically almost halfway or most of 2023. And then it finally rounded the corner in the last few quarters. And then his logic for point number 3 here about mergers and acquisitions is about gaining scale. And I agree with that, is that, yeah, this is the only way that they will survive in a hyper-competitive marketplace. So if you have beverage companies merging, or media and entertainment companies merging, or you have larger pharmaceuticals buying smaller pharmaceuticals, or 2 energy companies merging, that makes sense to tap into synergies. And with all of that being said, that's today's email for Monday, the 8th of July. And I hope everybody has a good day.